Stays. What happens when the prestigious world of MMORPGs collides with the K-pop universe in the worst way possible? Strap in, everyone, because today we're not just talking about a game update. We're diving into a digital scandal that's setting timelines ablaze. NCSoft, a gaming giant known for creating epic worlds, is now being accused of being a visual thief of our favorite idols. That's right, you heard correctly. Their latest game, AION2, is facing a firestorm of criticism because its character presets are allegedly carbon copies of our visual king Felix of Stray Kids and the fairy visual herself, Sullyoon of NMIXX. And we're not talking about a passing resemblance. This similarity extends to the most minute details, like the placement of moles and freckles. Is it a coincidence, or is there something more deliberate at play? Let's break it all down in this first discussion. It all began on an online forum, as these things often do. A sharp-eyed netizen was exploring the character presets in AION2 when they stumbled upon something unsettling. Their eyes landed on a face that was all too familiar. Silver blonde hair, sharp eyes, a strong jawline, and, most tellingly, a distinct pattern of freckles across the nose and cheeks. "Isn't this exactly Felix?" the netizen wrote. The image spread like wildfire across social media platforms. Before the uproar over Felix could even settle, another discovery sent shockwaves through the community. A different user found a female character preset with an innocent, doll-like face, clear eyes, and one explosive detail, a mole perfectly positioned below the lip. Anyone who saw it immediately recognized it. Sullyoon! That's Sullyoon from NMIXX! Her iconic mole, a beloved feature among fans, appeared to have been replicated by the game developers. The X platform, formerly Twitter, timeline quickly became a digital battlefield. Stays and enswears united, flooding the platform with undeniable visual evidence. Side-by-side comparisons of Felix and Sullyoon with the in-game characters were everywhere. The most damning part was that the similarities weren't just about the overall vibe or hairstyle. They extended to highly specific and personal details. The unique placement of Felix's freckles and the exact location of Sullyoon's sublabial mole were mirrored perfectly. Netizens were quick to comment, "If it's truly unintentional, how can such specific details be identical? This seems hard to believe." The pressure mounted until NCSoft issued an official statement. They claimed the resemblances were unintentional and purely coincidental. However, this statement only poured gasoline on the fire. Many retorted, "A very precise coincidence, to the point of measuring moles with a ruler?" Fan frustration grew, transforming into palpable anger and disappointment. Their idols, whose faces are their assets and the result of years of training, were seemingly used as templates without permission or even a courtesy notice. The situation was becoming increasingly suspicious. At this point, we are only seeing the tip of the iceberg. Only 2 idols have been identified so far, but this is merely the beginning. The scandal is about to deepen and become far more complex. Because, as it turns out, Felix and Sullyoon were not the only ones. Other major names were about to be dragged into this controversy. Which other idols had their likenesses allegedly borrowed without consent? And perhaps more disturbingly, how were these borrowed characters ultimately presented within the game? This case is poised to become a critical lesson in digital ethics. So, what do you think? What should be the next steps for the fans and the agencies involved? Should legal action be pursued? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're invested in this story and want to see how it unfolds, stay tuned for the next discussion where we will uncover even more shocking developments.
The prediction was correct. The AION2 scandal was far from over. The digital detectives of the netizen community were working overtime once again, and they uncovered another shocking layer to the story. 2 more iconic figures from the K-pop world, visuals that captivate millions, were found entangled in the controversy. Karina of aespa and Haerin of NewJeans. Mai and bunnies, brace yourselves, because the resemblances are, once again, uncanny. But beyond the startling similarities, a more serious and disturbing issue began to emerge. The outrage was no longer just about the unauthorized likeness. It was about how these characters were being portrayed within the game. And this revelation is what truly ignited a new level of fury. The discovery of characters resembling Karina and Haerin acted like a powerful accelerant on an already raging fire. The visual comparisons, yet again, were painstakingly detailed. The facial structure, the shape of the eyes, and even the specific expressions captured in the 3D models seemed heavily inspired by actual photos of the idols. Mai and Bunnies, who may have initially been observers, now joined the fray. The anger, once concentrated, was now spreading across multiple fandoms. However, this was the turning point. The core of the fans' anger evolved. It was no longer solely about the alleged theft of likeness. A deeper, more alarming problem came to light. Netizens and fans who had accessed the game or seen gameplay began reporting something deeply concerning. These preset characters, bearing the faces of their beloved idols, were being presented in a highly sexualized manner. Imagine the faces of Felix, Sullyoon, Karina, and Haerin, idols known for their curated images, revered for their talent and visuals, suddenly attached to in-game characters with revealing outfits and provocative poses. Many fans expressed feeling a sense of violation and anger. Their idols were seemingly being exploited without their consent for inappropriate content. The sentiment shifted from mere annoyance to a protective fervor. Outcries of, "This has crossed a line, this is exploitation," became commonplace. The calls for the agencies to intervene grew louder and more urgent. Netizens began tagging JYP Entertainment for Felix and Sullyoon, SM Entertainment for Karina, and ADR for Haerin. They demanded that these powerful companies step in and take decisive legal action against NCSoft. The primary concern became clear. How can an artist's face, especially that of a young public figure, be used in a sexualized context without their permission? This transcended copyright or likeness infringement. It now involved the psychological safety and reputation of the artists themselves. The potential emotional burden on them was a frightening thought. From this point, we can see the issue has escalated far beyond its origins. This is no longer a debate about intentionality. It has entered the realm of ethics, law, and the fundamental protection of an individual's personhood. Fans, feeling somewhat powerless, are uniting to voice their profound concerns. The agencies are now in the spotlight. The question remains, what will they do? Will they remain silent, or will they take a firm legal stand to protect their artists? This leads us to the broader implications. How does this scandal connect to larger, global conversations about digital rights and the treatment of public figures? The final discussion will explore how this incident is not an isolated event, but a symptom of a much wider issue affecting the digital landscape we all inhabit. The AION2 versus K-pop scandal is far more significant than it first appeared. This is not just a story of angry fandoms on social media. It has sparked a crucial conversation about a global issue: the unauthorized use of a public figure's likeness, particularly in sexualized content, which opens a Pandora's box of digital ethics. Believe it or not, this situation is directly linked to two of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This final discussion will elevate the conversation, examining how the cases of Felix, Sullyoon, Karina, and Haerin are not isolated incidents, but a reflection of a larger problem faced by many public figures, especially women, in the internet age. Let's break down the core issues. First, we must consider the connection to SDG 5, gender equality. Notice that of the 4 idols mentioned, 3 are women: Sullyoon, Karina, and Haerin. In the scandal, a worrying pattern emerged. The female characters, bearing the idol's likenesses, tended to receive more extreme sexualized treatment within the game. This reflects a global problem where women's bodies and faces are often objectified and commodified without their consent. It violates their right to their own image and bodily autonomy, and hinders the achievement of gender equality by treating women as objects rather than individuals with agency. Remaining silent in the face of such acts indirectly permits this demeaning culture to persist in digital spaces. Second, this scandal is intimately connected to SDG 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. A key aspect of this goal is to develop accountable institutions and promote the enforcement of just laws. In the case of AION2, NCSoft, as an institution, a corporation, had its accountability questioned. Did it have rigorous procedures in place to respect an individual's right to their own likeness? When protests arose, its initial response was widely perceived as inadequate, suggesting weak internal governance. Conversely, netizens and fans then pressured the idol agencies, other powerful institutions, to take legal action. Why? Because they were seeking justice for their idols. They were calling for strong institutions, in this case, the courts through potential lawsuits, to protect individual rights from exploitation by more powerful corporate entities. Without the enforcement of justice, the sense of security for public figures, particularly younger ones, will continue to erode. So, what comes next? This moment must serve as a wake-up call for all stakeholders. For the gaming and digital content industries, it is time to implement stricter protocols and ensure proper clearance processes for the use of any likeness. For entertainment agencies, it is a call to be more proactive in monitoring and protecting their artists' digital assets. And for us, the audience, we possess power, the power to speak out, to make our voices heard, and to advocate for change by raising awareness. It is crucial to remember that what happened to Felix, Sullyoon, Karina, and Haerin could happen to anyone. So, what concrete steps do you believe we can take as consumers and fans to advocate for better ethical practices in the entertainment and gaming industries? And do you think incidents like this will influence how you choose and support digital content in the future? Your perspective is valuable, as it is through informed discussion that we can begin to foster meaningful change.